So as a millennial, it can be hard to get hired considering the negative cloud around the generation of being too lazy. However, our next guest is here to help those break that stereotype and get the job. Millennial expert and professional trainer Alissa Carpenter is here with more. So welcome.
Thank you.
I just said to all the millennials in the room, they're listening now. They got their ears on, so to speak. What qualities are companies looking for when it comes to a millennial candidate?
It's a great question. I'd say there's a few really key skills that they're looking for.
Okay.
Communication, interpersonal, teamwork skills,
Okay.
the ability to be humble, and then the interest to really be hungry and the opportunities to learn and grow in the workplace.
Okay, and do our millennials, do they have those qualities? Are they taking that all in? I mean, it's a different time from when you and I started out doing this. Yeah.
It's a great question because it's so hard to demonstrate really those abilities, especially during the job interview process or asking questions. So it's important as you're in the interview to really gauge and really ask questions and do your research on the company and the industry to see, are they a leading industry in that area? How are they as a company? To really show them that you've done your research and spent your time. And for those interpersonal skills, really talk with your, talk and have and engage in those conversations as you're doing it during the interview is so important to show that you're a real person.
So what about if you don't have a lot of experience and this is like maybe your first job interview with the job that you actually want? We've all had those starter jobs, but you haven't had a lot of experience. How do you tell the person that you're interviewing with that, hey, I do have these qualities, or how do you show them you can possess these qualities?
So thinking back, if you're just graduating from school, if it's your second job, think about an internship experience you've had or how you volunteered in the community and what leadership roles you've taken. How did you demonstrate leadership in a class? So really think about the experiences that you'll have in this job and find a relevant experience or leadership opportunity that you've already had where you've exemplified those talents.
Now, you said that millennials should research the job that they're going after. But what about the actual interview process? What questions should they ask the millennials?
If you really want to demonstrate that you're interested in the opportunity to learn and grow, so ask what professional development opportunities that they have in their job. Talk about the leadership ladder. What does it look like? What skills are they looking for?
But let me ask you this, because you don't want to come off as somebody who feels or is showing that, hey, I'm too good for this entry-level position, but at the same time, you do want to come across as like, hey, I'm willing to work from the ground up. What's next for me? How do you define that without coming across as, oh, this person thinks they're too good to, start off on the bottom?
Well, it's interesting because millennials are not just interested in moving up the ladder, they're interested in moving kind of laterally. So to ask about experiences to learn and grow could be what professional certifications do you have? What environments or what professional opportunities do I have? What leadership roles do you have? So really engaging conversations that not always about climbing the ladder, but how can I learn and grow, and how can me learning and growing really be more profitable and more productive for your company?
That's a good way of looking at it. So millennials have always had this stereotype of being lazy and wanting things to be handed to them. So when you're in this interview process, I get it, you're asking questions. Maybe what other certifications do I need, depending on the job, to move up the ladder or however you want to put it. But how do we get away from that lazy stereotype of being lazy millennials?
Yeah, it's so hard, right? So a lot of the times it's about miscommunication. So millennials are potentially doing the work and not communicating that the work is complete, or letting them know kind of what the expectations are or what the timeline is of it. So a lot of it comes down to miscommunication. But during the job interview, as an company, as an employer, really looking and engaging in the information. So looking at their resume, what volunteer opportunities have they had? What leadership roles have they exemplified? So take them outside of the box of the position that they're applying for and look at them as a human being outside of this to show how they're showing their skills, and potentially there's something that can align with that. So finding their passions and laziness outside of that.
So you call yourself a trainer. So how do you train millennials? Do they come to you? Is there like a role play scenario that happens? How does this work?
Great question. So I actually work with companies and organizations to help them understand the mindset of millennials. So I do a lot of speaking engagements and training workshops. So I work directly with the companies and organizations to help them understand how to recruit, how to retain, and how to engage their employees. And then I also work one-on-one as a coach with millennials to help them really understand what the companies are interested in and how we can really bridge the gap between the two.
So how do you educate somebody? What if you have a person that comes in, like for myself when I was, younger. So like I want to be on the radio and I want to talk to people and I think it's fun and I like all the music that they play on the station. So then what do you say? Like, because that's pretty much how my internship was when I started off in radio.
No, and it happens all the time, right? So these kind of unrealistic expectations of I can climb the ladder in 3 days or 3 weeks. So talking about the skills that you have and how we can use them to your advantage. And I usually say the sweet spot is about 6 months before you talk to your employer and say, I want a raise or I want to learn and grow. Really, there's kind of that sweet spot of 6 months in there. There's an opportunity. It's great to be eager, but we have to be realistic about it. I encourage them to look at job descriptions. So what are the years of experience required? What's the education? What skills do you have? And let's be realistic about where you are and what you're missing, and then creating the plan to build in those gaps.
Right. Do you think that that is a misconception that not just millennials, but that all people have? It's like, for example, I want to be an actress. So I'm thinking, hey, that's wonderful. I'm going to make a lot of money and people are going to see me and they're going to love me. But you don't realize there's method acting. There's, all kinds of stuff that goes into that before you become a Julia Roberts or a George Clooney.
Yes, and with millennials, we think fast, right? We think quickly. We're digital natives. We've been born with technology. When things happen quickly, we have access to a lot of stuff quickly. So it's really hard sometimes to take the step back and realize, okay, there's 6 steps to get to where you want to go, but I'd like to think backwards. So where do you want to go? Let's think about where do we need to be 3 weeks from now? Where do we need to be a month from now? And how can we plan to get there? So you have to be a little bit realistic about it, and engaging in those conversations with the supervisor, letting them know that you want to grow is really beneficial. But know that it's a two-way street. It's all about reciprocity. So it's a give and take kind of situation that you have to have.
Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, millennials, social media, what do you tell them?
In terms of using social media?
In terms of using social media, posting on social media, ranting on social media?
Yeah, and it's so interesting. So it doesn't go away, right? Like growing up, people can take a picture of it. Snapchat, yes, it goes away. It doesn't go away. People take pictures of things all the time. Be prepared for employers to look at your information, look at your credentials all the time. If you don't want your grandmother to see it, you definitely don't want your employer to see it. Like, be aware of what you're posting.
You didn't know my grandmother, it was her idea.
Right? And a lot of people have been posting too, I'm stuck in my job, it's the worst. If your manager sees that, how do you think that makes them feel? And how do you think that it's never gonna look good? So always put on a good face on social media.
All right, Alissa Carpenter, where do we find you, the millennials, to reach out? And heck, I might need to do it someday, you never know. And to help get some coaching.
Sure, you can reach out to me on my website, notokaythat'sokaycoach.com.
I love that. All right, folks, more of Let's Talk Live coming up right after the break. And that's okay.